Here we have a worm tower, and we just harvested this too, but there's a bunch of lettuces growing in each of those. And in the center, we have a bunch of worms that help with the fertility, and we take that, put it outside for compost. My name is Taylor Santos. I am 18 years old, and I was born and raised in Jackson, Wyoming. We are at Summit Innovations, the high school that I attend. I am a senior. I am excited to graduate. I'm a bit nervous. A lot of our science is based around climate change, and our agriculture class is a lot about plants. We are currently growing a salad bar for our school lunches, and we sell at the farmers markets. My first experience with Teton Youth and Family Services, I was 12, and I had run away from home with an older man, and from there I was sent directly to the Vleck group home. I was in middle school at the time, and I was there for about 8 months. So since a kid, I wasn't close with my dad. He was always in prison, and I kind of needed that father figure in my life, and my mom's boyfriend, my stepdad at the time, was a very verbally abusive alcoholic, and nearly every night we would get in fights, and it kind of got to the point where I was looking for acceptance and love from people who shouldn't have given that to me. It was really hard. I kind of just broke finally and decided it would be better for me to run away. I really liked Van Vleck. It was like a home, and all the staff were almost like parents, and my roommates and friends that I met there kind of turned into family, and probably the hardest times of all of our lives. I wasn't having like worry about people judging me or people telling me like, you're acting weird. I could be myself and run outside and be happy. I could, play in the grass, and just the little things was really nice to enjoy. I had a problem with self-harm before I went to Van Vleck, so learning how to get out of that habit and learning how to journal instead or distract myself whenever I felt down or depressed. I did a lot of anger management and breath work. I would go to like a safe place in my head whenever I was feeling overwhelmed and try to make it not as bad or tolerable. Getting into Van Vleck, I was able to get out of my comfort zone and enjoy nature. And I guess at home, I was always secluded to my room a lot. It was just really nice to get outdoors with everyone, and we would go on a lot of hikes. There was one to Ski Lake up on the pass, and we were kind of all walking back, and then it started rain, so we all had to run, and everyone's emotions were flying. I remember my shoes were like making my feet bleed, and my closest friend ended up carrying me back to the car. I realized like this is my family. These people mean so much to me, and they would do anything for me. So after I graduated the program, everyone comes together, and it's kind of just a celebration that you made it and you get to leave and you get to go home. You get a handwritten note from everyone, and I still have that hanging up in my room. It was really hard, especially going back home to the same environment. Even though I worked on myself, I was still getting treated the way that I was before. I think it was last year I was going through a really tough time, and I was able to check myself into Van Vleck for like a week, and they were able to help me through it and make sure that I was safe and good enough to go back home. And they're always there if I have to call them and ask them for help. It's better than running away or getting yourself into deeper trouble. I don't know, it was always hard to leave Van Vleck, and looking back, I'm so grateful for everyone that I met and everyone that helped me out. Yeah, it was a really awesome place. A lot of the problems Jackson has are well hidden and kept secret because we're this perfect, rich town that, our kids are fine and our kids don't have problems, but that's just not the case. Kids and families do need help, and it's okay to ask for that, even in a town like Jackson. So my dad and I's relationship kind of wasn't great for a while, but in the past few years, I guess since I went to Van Vleck, we've been able to get a lot closer, and now I like him a lot and we can get along. I wouldn't take any of it back. because I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't have the passions that I do now. I wouldn't be near as strong as I am now, or as mindful and appreciative. These are just butter lettuce, but we recently planted them probably sometime. I didn't really think much about like planting and farming until I came to Summit and I started taking the ag class, and since then I've been super into plants. This is our school greenhouse. It's pretty bare right now, but we're gonna start planting starts when we get back from spring break, and then we'll get these beds filled before graduation. This summer, I'm going to attend a permaculture design course, so I'm gonna learn how to design people's gardens and design my own food forest and make a life for myself through a good way to do agriculture versus the way that we're doing it now. I kind of want to change that. I'm going out on my own. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to get out of this town for a while and see what I can do with myself.
Yeah, I don't think we're making it up to the medicine wheel. Howdy. I'm Keanu.
Keanu?
Yeah, I graduated from here.
Oh yeah. How far back?
2011.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Long time ago.
How's it feel being back here for a little bit?
Oh, I love it. Like I said, this is home. I've come back a couple times and went up and checked the medicine wheel out, showed my wife and stuff a few years ago. I wanted to make like a meditation area up on the hill, a community service project, kind of leave something lasting for your community, because at stage 4, you're presumably getting closer to being able to go home. The medicine wheel, to me, symbolizes our connection to everything around us. It's like a compass. It's the 4 directions. You've got the colors that represent the earth, the water, the air. That symbolism of everything coming together as one, and then you kind of being in the middle of it. I'm Keanu Slavernak. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Kemmer, Wyoming originally. I'm an equipment operator out at the Kennecott Copper Mine in Salt Lake City. When I had went through court, my parents were pretty worried about me and where I was at and stuff. The state had taken custody of me because of the seriousness of what I had been in trouble with. I had been arrested for a felony grand larceny and a felony burglary. And I was trying to be like a stubborn kid and was like, oh, just send me to the boys' home, I don't care. My dad had kind of taken me out one day to the lake and was like, hey man, like I think you really need to reconsider this and think about going to this place. Then I came up here to Red Top and I live here for like a year and 12 days. I mean, just growing up, I just always kind of struggled with my self-identity, I guess. I never had a hard time making friends or anything, but I never just felt like I fit in my skin. About the time that I was 11 or 12, I started using marijuana, prescription pills, like whatever type of stuff I could find. That kind of rapidly transitioned into me taking hallucinogenics, later into cocaine and meth, and that was pretty much all through high school. That's what I was using, narcotics and drinking a lot. And then my grandparents had passed around the time I was 14, 15, and those were the first people in my life that had died. I had a lot of questions as far as like spiritually looking for something in that department and not really finding it. Breaking into that house, I didn't need to steal anything. You know, I only stole $1,000 worth of video games and DVDs. Like, it's not like I needed it for a drug habit or anything. I was just being a hooligan. I was just angry and wanting to destroy stuff. So that's kind of where I was at mentally when I got here. It was kind of perfect. Like, I was 17, looking for this answer. The people I met here at Red Top, like, I just don't think that I would have found it anywhere else. They had what I needed at the time, and even later on. Oh, I hated it at first. I used to fight it all the time being up here. We couldn't talk on the phone very often. You had to write letters to everybody. Like, I couldn't stand it. I hated being here. Then I kind of had this mental shift where I was like, well, I'm here. Like, I need to do something, you know, just knuckle down. So I ended up like graduating a couple months early. I had my own private one-man graduation ceremony here, you know, like my teacher brought me my cap and gown down and my diploma, and the kids played my walkout song on this big Indian drum for me. And by the time it was time to leave, like, I didn't want to go. I had all these people that cared about me, wanting to push me to be a better person. You know, I was feeling like a better person. They had me feeling like I could do anything. I look back on the wilderness trips. Some of them are hard to believe that like I got to go on and be a part of. Trying to do something like that, it's a massive undertaking, you know, it's expensive and all the planning that goes into the trip and stuff, and to be able to have had that opportunity just provided for me, like, it's crazy. Each one of them's unique. You learn something about yourself or just nature on each one of them. Fall was my first one. So that was the roughest one on me because you're just not ready for it. We backpacked like 2 or 3 miles in, and then we set up camp and stayed there for like 6 days and built bike trails for the Forest Service. Like, I remember there was 3 of us, spent like 2 or 3 days trying to get this tree stump out of the way. There's nothing quite like fighting a tree. And then winter, you go on the cross-country backpacking trip with skis on. Going out and sleeping in those snow shelters that you dig yourself, it was probably one of the more self-fulfilling ones. When we got back and I finally got a warm shower and was like, I did that, like, we made it. By the time summer happened, like, they took us to a place called Gunsight Pass. We got the craziest thunderstorm I'd ever been in. Lightning hitting all around you, like, in the middle of this tent, trying to keep my tent from blowing over on me all night. I was just so scared. One of the things they wanted me to work on was finding like this place in my head. My safe place is Gunsight Pass. It's helped me work through therapy, that helped bring a lot of stuff up, and you can't get that experience everywhere, and I'm super grateful. It just helped me calm down a lot. Communicate with people rather than handling a lot of my problems by lashing out or internalizing them and being angry at myself for it. I was one of the oldest kids, like this big brother role. It made me really think about like how I speak to people, to talk to each other with respect and to treat this like our community. That was always one of the things I really appreciate and remember about Red Top, is that like this was my home. Even my parents felt that about Red Top. Bleeds through into anything else I'm involved in my life. How I interact with my coworkers. I think Red Top really set me up for success. It really helped me in being a father. I felt like there were people out there that could be my people. It wasn't always going to just feel like it did in Kemmer. It was gonna be okay. I could go out and find my little place in the world. This is my daughter, Calicia. This is my son, Luca, and my wife, Georgie. My mom's side of the family is Native American, and so we just always kind of gravitated towards that part of my heritage. So the medicine wheel, so you kind of just walk up and there's a little trail that kind of zigzags up, and then it just sits up there on the flat part of that knoll up there in the trees. I thought it would be a good place for, like, if someone needs to go ground themselves and, okay, like, here I am, but like, here all this is too, like, I'm part of all this stuff up here, you know? So me and Jer, my therapist, went out, collected a bunch of rocks together one day, so that it looked kind of like the colors of the 4 directions. I set all the stones, and then I filled it in with sand, and then I put the medicine wheel pattern in on it. It was pretty cool. It's something that, like, all these years later, I've got to come back and show, like, you know, something that I made that's still been here. If I would have went to the boys' home instead of this place, like, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't be here probably today. Most of my friends aren't. I think these places are what's gonna help save us. It changed my life for the better, and there's no doubt in my mind about that. It's one of the most crucial parts in my story.